Thanks for joining me. I'm Matt Bonser from the Office of Admission at Colorado College. We know that standardized testing has been upended over the last few years, and we know how hard that can make it to navigate your admission journey. Colorado College stopped requiring test scores in 2019 because when we compare test scores to transcripts, we see that transcripts are better than testing at predicting academic success in college. We also recognize that standardized testing tends to advantage students who have access to test prep, perpetuating inequalities in the college application process. Some of the schools you'll apply to went test optional during the pandemic because of the lack of access to testing and may return to requiring tests at some point in the future. For us, standardized testing is just one piece of your application and not a piece that we emphasize at CC. Remember, your transcript is the most important component of your application. Philosophy aside, we know what your questions are. Should you submit your test scores or not? And when a school says they're test optional, are they really test optional? Here's a general rule of thumb. Look for an institution's ACT and SAT 25th and 75th percentile score ranges. You should be able to find that information on any college's website. If your score is at or above the middle of that range, submit. Even better if you're closer to the 75th percentile. If your scores are below the middle of that range, don't submit. Some colleges, like CC, will ask you to submit your test scores, if you have them, at the time of enrollment, even if you didn't submit scores with your admission application. Submitting your scores when you enroll has no bearing on your admission offer. At CC, we collect test scores at the time of enrollment for research purposes. We also include those scores when we publish our 25th to 75th percentiles. Because we include the scores of our test non-submitters, the score ranges we publish are pretty accurate representations of the students we admit, not inflated ranges based only on the students who chose to submit their scores with their admission applications. We know that every college looks at test scores a little bit differently, and that can add to the uncertainty of whether you should submit your scores. If you're feeling unsure about submitting your scores to a particular school, talk to the admission officer assigned to your high school. They'll be able to tell you whether their college is really test optional. At CC, we are. And they may be able to give you advice on whether to submit your scores. Remember, you can watch this and other videos from the App Advice series at any time on the CC website. In the next video, we'll talk about the activities portion of the application. See you then.